December 23, 2010, a security camera in Iowa catches a hooded man buying a single hot lotto ticket. Weeks later, that slip hits the $16 million jackpot, and nobody claims it. Detectives freeze frame, zoom, enhance. The buyer isn't a drifter or mob courier. He's the lottery's own cybersecurity boss. One USB stick. 8 lines of code. $24 million siphoned over 6 years. So how do you hack a random number generator built to be unbreakable? And how many other jackpots did he rewrite before anyone noticed? It all starts with a quiet, unassuming IT guy, Eddie Tipton. By day, he's the Information Security Director at the Multi-State Lottery Association in Iowa. He's the guy responsible for safeguarding the random number generators, RNGs, that pick winning lotto numbers. Trusted, respected. He even helped build some of these systems himself. But behind the polite smile, Tipton has a secret obsession. Colleagues recall he was obsessed with rootkits, stealthy programs that can hide inside computers, perform virtually any task, then self-destruct without a trace. Why would a lottery security officer be so fascinated with malware? In November 2010, that question answers itself. Late one night, November 20th, 2010, Tipton enters the highly secure Hot Lotto draw room. He claims he's just doing routine maintenance, adjusting the computer clock for daylight savings. The access log checks out. He's authorized to be there. But something is off about this visit. Cameras that normally record every second suddenly capture only 1 frame a minute, a gap Tipton himself programmed. In those blind gaps, Tipton is alone with the dual computers that generate the winning numbers. He inserts a USB drive and executes a surreptitious installation. Unbeknownst to anyone, he's slipping a custom-built rootkit into the RNG software, a few extra lines of code that will change lottery history. Tipton's secret code is elegantly devious. It sits dormant, doing nothing most of the time, impossible to notice. But it's ticking away, waiting for very specific conditions. In fact, it's programmed to activate only on 3 dates each year, only if those dates fall on Wednesdays or Saturdays, and only for drawings held after a certain time in the evening. Meet all 3 conditions and the program quietly hijacks the RNG, spitting out a set of numbers that aren't random at all, but carefully pre-selected. Tipton knows exactly what they'll be. Once the deed is done, the rootkit will self-delete, erasing any digital fingerprints of the crime. It's the perfect inside hack. Predict the winning numbers, without anyone ever seeing the malicious code. As Tipton finishes his maintenance that night, the trap is set. But when the numbers hit, will anyone suspect of him? December 29th, 2010, drawing night. Tipton's rootkit has been lying in wait for this exact date. At 8 p.m., as the lottery computers generate the Hot Lotto winning numbers, Tipton's hidden code silently springs into action. The draw meets all his secret conditions. One of the magic dates, the right day of the week, the right time. The random number generator never stood a chance. Instead of true random numbers, it produces a set of winning numbers that Tipton had preordained. Somewhere in the secure draw room, the machines hum and churn out what everyone believes are just lucky numbers. In reality, the outcome was decided weeks earlier by the very man in charge of guarding the system. Tipton now faces a final hurdle, claiming the prize without exposing himself. As a lottery employee, especially the security director, he's legally barred from playing or winning. He can't just cash the ticket under his own name. So, 2 hours before the drawing, Tipton takes a calculated risk. Disguised in a hooded sweatshirt and a cap, he walks into a busy Des Moines convenience store. Despite the winter chill, he's even wearing gloves to avoid leaving fingerprints. There, he buys a Hot Lotto ticket, manually selecting the exact numbers his rootkit is about to win. On security footage, he looks like any other customer grabbing a snack. In fact, he buys a $3 hot dog along with the ticket, trying to appear casual. The clerk hands him the ticket that, unbeknownst to her, is worth a fortune. Tipton slips it into his wallet. He's done it. He's effectively just chosen the winning lottery numbers. Now he must hide in plain sight. Buying the ticket was easy. Cashing it is deadly. Who can he trust to claim millions and keep quiet? Sure enough, the next morning the Iowa Lottery announces a lone jackpot winner for Hot Lotto's $16 million draw. Tipton's numbers hit exactly. He should be euphoric. This was the goal. But he doesn't dare celebrate publicly. Claiming it himself is out of the question. So Tipton and a small circle of confidants begin scheming behind the scenes. The plan? Cash out through proxies. They need someone else to step forward as the winner, someone with no obvious connection to Tipton. Only then can they quietly collect the money and split it. But pulling that off is trickier than Tipton imagined. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months. As 2011 rolls on, nobody claims the prize. The $16 million winning ticket just sits in limbo. Iowa headlines scream, "Where's the winner?" Because how could anyone forget they won a jackpot? The clock is ticking toward the claim deadline. Will he risk exposure or burn $16 million to stay hidden? By November 2011, nearly a year has passed since the hot lotto draw, and the jackpot's claim deadline is looming. Tipton is getting desperate. In December 6, 2011, a voice calls Iowa Lottery, claiming the ticket is owned by a corporation, Hexam Investments Trust, based in Belize, and he's just an intermediary. An offshore trust wants the money, but its beneficiaries insist on staying anonymous. To Iowa Lottery officials, this is a giant red flag. Iowa law forbids anonymous claims. Why would a legitimate winner go through an offshore shell company to hide their identity? The request is flatly denied. No name, no payout. Later, on December 29, 2011, literally the final day before the ticket expires, an attorney representing the trust presents the winning ticket to lottery officials. He's asking for the $16 million payout on behalf of a client he won't name. It's an audacious move, almost successful. After all, some U.S. states allow winners to remain anonymous, but not Iowa. The Iowa Lottery has a firm rule. They will not pay jackpots to any anonymous claimant or entity. They need to know who the real winner is, on the record. They press the attorney, name your client or no deal. The lawyer refuses, offering only a shrug and vague assurances that the winner wants privacy. For Iowa officials, that's the final red flag. The mysterious claim is denied. The lawyer abruptly withdraws the ticket, refusing to identify the trust's beneficiary. And just like that, the $16 million jackpot is forfeit, unclaimed. The deadline passes with the money still in the lottery's coffers. It's a shocking outcome. Someone out there deliberately let a fortune slip away rather than reveal their identity. Something is very, very wrong here. Iowa authorities launch an investigation. They have a dead lottery ticket linked to a Belize trust, a stonewalling lawyer, and one big question: who was behind this? They start by tracing the trust. The offshore entity's paperwork leads to a man in Quebec City, listed as the trust's president, and further to two individuals in Sugar Land, Texas. One name jumps out: Robert Rhodes, a businessman and known associate of Eddie Tipton. Rhodes had actually been in Iowa around the time the winning ticket was purchased. The investigators' pulse quickens. Could this be an inside job? The pieces are lining up. A multi-state lottery association insider, Tipton, his Texas businessman friend, Rhodes, an offshore trust. It smells like a conspiracy to steal the jackpot from within. Did they just find their inside man? Or another decoy? With the anonymous claim foiled, Iowa's investigators turn their attention to that grainy convenience store video from December 2010. The hooded man who bought the ticket. They release the surveillance footage to the public, hoping someone can ID the mystery buyer. At first, it's a long shot. The man's face is partially obscured, and he's dressed down to be unremarkable. But to those who know Eddie Tipton, something is familiar. The voice, the build, the gait. One colleague steps forward and suggests the unthinkable. Could that be Eddie on the tape? Investigators dig into Tipton's alibi. He claimed he was out of state, visiting family in Texas during the holidays. Yet travel records and cell phone pings place him in Iowa on the purchase date. The noose tightens. Witnesses later testify they're certain the hooded hot dog buyer is Tipton in a crude disguise. The betrayal within the lottery is becoming clearer. Agents quietly keep Tipton under surveillance. Meanwhile, they probe the lottery's own systems and uncover a baffling clue. The security footage from the draw room on November 20th, 2010, when Tipton did his maintenance, has an anomaly. The feed was inexplicably set to record only 1 second out of every minute. That looks like a deliberate attempt to hide activity. Combine that with Tipton's known expertise in programming and his obsessive talk about rootkits, and a theory emerges. Tipton rigged the drawing from the inside. Investigators suspect he manipulated the random number generator itself, but proving it is another matter. The draw computers were wiped and resecured regularly, leaving no obvious trace of foul play. No code, no logs, just Tipton's word. How do you prove a hack that erases itself? Still, by early 2015, the circumstantial evidence is strong enough. On January 15, 2015, over 4 years after the fateful draw, Eddie Tipton is arrested and charged with fraud and theft by deception. News of the arrest rocks the Iowa lottery and the industry at large. The man tasked with lottery security had allegedly been stealing jackpots. At Tipton's trial in spring 2015, prosecutors lay out the scheme in detail: how he used his privileged access to install a secret rootkit on the Hot Lotto RNG computer, rigging the December 2010 drawing, and then tried to claim the prize anonymously through others. They play the convenience store footage for the jury and call witnesses. Even Tipton's own brother Tommy takes the stand, only to insist the video can't show Eddie because the man is buying a hot dog, and Eddie doesn't even like hot dogs. That bizarre defense earns a few smirks, but does little to sway the outcome. In July 2015, Eddie Tipton is found guilty on 2 counts and sentenced to up to 10 years in prison. It seems the scandal has been contained to 1 rogue employee and 1 big jackpot. But the story isn't over, not even close. As Tipton sits behind bars, investigators begin pulling a thread that will unravel something much bigger. Tipton's arrest and conviction open Pandora's box. Iowa's probe triggers a nationwide inquiry, and soon lottery authorities from Wisconsin to Colorado are revisiting their records. Patterns emerge that were once dismissed as coincidence. Remember Tipton's mysterious RNG code that only activated on certain dates? It turns out December 29th wasn't the only date circled on his calendar. Investigators conducting a forensic exam on the Hot Lotto computer make a breakthrough. On one machine that Tipton programmed, the malicious code failed to self-delete. For the first time, they see the blueprint of his lottery hack, a fishy DLL file embedded in the system. Inside, they find the hard-coded conditions. If a drawing falls on May 27th, November 23rd, or December 29th, and it's a Wednesday or Saturday after 8 p.m., the RNG doesn't produce a true random outcome. Instead, it executes a preset algorithm that only someone with intimate knowledge of the system could predict. In layman's terms, Tipton gave himself the ability to know the winning numbers in advance on just a few specific days a year. A window of opportunity for fraud. Armed with this revelation, authorities go back to unsolved lottery mysteries in multiple states. The results are jaw-dropping. There was a Colorado Lotto jackpot on November 23, 2005, one of Tipton's magic dates, where the winner turned out to be Eddie's own brother, Tommy Tipton, who pocketed a $568,990 prize via a friend. In Wisconsin, a December 29, 2007 Megabucks jackpot of $783,000 was won by an LLC controlled by none other than Robert Rhodes, Tipton's Texas friend. Records show that LLC funneled money back to Tipton. And in Oklahoma, a November 23, 2011 Hot Lotto drawing, just 1 year after the Iowa hit, awarded $1.2 million to a man named Kyle, a friend of the Tiptons from Texas. He had oddly driven across state lines to buy that ticket and chose the numbers manually, arousing suspicion in hindsight. 5 states in total are implicated: Iowa, Colorado, Wisconsin, Oklahoma, and even Kansas. Tipton eventually confesses he'd rigged a drawing there as well. The simple inside job has morphed into a multi-state conspiracy, 6 rigged jackpots in all. The fraud amounted to roughly $24 million in prize money tampered with. Faced with the mountain of evidence, Eddie Tipton strikes a deal. In 2017, he pleads guilty and admits to manipulating lottery draws going back to 2005. His brother Tommy and accomplice Rhodes also plead to their parts in the scheme. Tipton reveals how he had co-conspirators claim the prizes to launder the winnings, each time using someone who could keep his name hidden. It almost worked. Over 10 years, the corrupted draws had gone unnoticed because no one connected the dots between those specific dates, the insiders involved and the lucky winners. But as investigators note, Tipton's very position gave him away. Who else would know all the variables to rig the system so precisely? The trusted guardian of the lottery had turned into its fox in the henhouse. In August 2017, Tipton is sentenced to 25 years in prison for the elaborate fraud. It's a symbolic capstone to the case, though in reality, he'd only serve about 5 years behind bars before being paroled in 2022. The court also orders Tipton and his brother to pay back over $2 million in restitution to the affected states. Eddie Tipton's gamble to outsmart randomness made him rich for a while, but it ultimately cost him his career, his reputation, and his freedom. Yet, as the dust settles, one can't help but marvel at the audacity. A single insider nearly gamed the system that millions of ordinary people trust when they buy a $2 ticket, dreaming of a fair chance at fortune. Tipton hacked probability itself. But elsewhere, hackers skip chance entirely. They attack entire countries like North Korea, as you can see in the video about the hacker who took down North Korea.